Good evening, everybody. The time is now 6:33 p.m. I'd like to call the August 17th, 2026 special council meeting to order. Ms. Russell, roll call, please.
Councilman Brown,
Here.
Eastman, Jablisco,
Here.
Miles is absent, Mojica,
Here.
Montez de Oca is absent, Newberry,
Here.
Timmons,
Here.
Brooks.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Welsh, will you please read the open public meeting statement?
Notice of this meeting has been sent to the official newspapers, and adequate and electronic notice has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act as required by law.
Thank you very much. I'm going to call our CFO, Frank Ruggiero, to the dais or to the microphone so he can speak on some DCA findings matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, the state has conducted a very detailed review of our calendar year 26 budget, and they approved our budget to be presented to the council for adoption this evening. The results of that review have required the city to do some small immaterial changes to the introduced budget, which has been categorized and presented before you in the budget amendment resolution you have before you. These small adjustments do not require advertisement or its own public hearing because they're immaterial in nature. And I want to stress the fact that they do not impact the overall operation of the budget or any of the tax amounts that we presented at the time of introduction. I'd also like to apologize that the amendment may look a little more complicated than it is. It's just designed in a way that every time you change one number, that affects 8 or 10 or 12 subtotals and totals, so it looks more complicated, but we'll just get down to the few small changes that there are. In the first section, we're simply moving some revenue items from page 7 to page 10. The second section, we are complying with the state and how they want us to list our shared services agreements. The city takes part in many shared services agreements with our construction office with Fanwood, our assessor for Highland Park, as well as several towns for the health officer. The state encourages towns to do these because it's savings on both sides, and they just want us to show them differently than we have in our budget in the past. The third section, we're just reallocating some outside the cap appropriations in more detail, and that's pretty much the change for it all. If there's any questions, I can take them at this time.
Thank you so much, sir. So at this point, we're going to move on to the hearing of citizens portion of this meeting. Citizens will have 5 minutes to speak on resolutions and first reading ordinances listed on the agenda only. The floor is now open for public comment. You may only speak once, and you may address all comments to the City Council. While all comments made by the public will be taken under advisement, the City Council will not respond to the comments made by the public, as this portion is an opportunity for the Council to listen to the citizens' concerns and not debate issues or enter into a question and answer session. Ms. Welsh, has anybody signed up to speak tonight?
Nobody signed up.
Okay. Well, thank you. Well, this will be anyone's opportunity from the public to make a public comment on any matter. You may approach.
Hi, Andrew Garcia Phillips, 1470 Campbell Street. Just a couple questions about the budget. I asked last month, or whenever the last meeting was, about the budget for the administration spending. It was last year set at, I think, $475,000 and ended up spending 1.24 million, something like that. And just asking what the difference was there. I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but it's almost $800,000 increase in that budget. Can you tell us what that was? The second thing I asked about was the pilots. The pilot programs in our budget are for all the buildings downtown that pay payment in lieu of taxes instead of property taxes. And those payments generally are 10% of their revenue. Their revenue in this case for all these are their apartment buildings. It's not complicated. They charge rent. It's pretty standard. You know exactly what they're going to get every year. That should be a pretty flat number year after year. Should slightly tick up as their rents go up. And as you can see in this year's budget, they're flailing all about. Some are way up, some are way down. One of them apparently has never paid its pilots. And that's a big red flag and something that you should look at and consider and ask more questions about, because it should not be that way. When I asked this last time, the auditor got up and he said, with regard to the pilots, we can't control whether they pay that or not. And that should be a big red flag to you. When we have property taxes, we can control whether people pay their property taxes or not. There's all kinds of ways to make sure that they do that, and consequences if they do not. And these pilots, apparently some are being paid late, some are being paid not at all. That should concern you, and your auditor's comments about that should concern you. On top of that, I don't know if you've paid attention to the news this past couple weeks, but this is not just a Rahway problem. This happens everywhere. And in Hackensack, there's a new administration, and that administration was concerned about these pilots for the same reason. And they conducted an audit to see what was going on with these pilot payments. That audit found that 14 of their pilot projects downtown were out of compliance with their pilot payments. Some of them weren't paying them as much as they should. Some weren't filing their audits, their required audits at the end of every year, and squaring up what they're supposed to pay based on their actual revenues. When they found this, they contacted all of those offending projects, and some of them, they were given a chance to get clean. Some of them refused to even do it then. Now they've set a deadline for the end of August, and if they don't come into compliance by the end of August, including late fees, interest on what they didn't pay, then they will cancel those pilots and make them proper taxpayers instead. Some of these offending developers are ones that have projects in Rahway. Meridia has 2 properties there. One of them is at least $250,000 behind. The other one, I forget how much. The others are, in shady LLC names. I don't know if they're the same developers as Rahway developers or not. They may be. But this should be another big red flag for you. It would be a smart move to audit these independently. You could reach out to Hackensack and ask who their auditor was for this. They already know what the program should be. They could do this for us. And we can make sure that all of these buildings downtown are paying what they're supposed to pay. As I said, the Gramercy downtown has never been listed as having made a payment on their pilot in our budgets. I don't know why, and it hasn't been explained. This should be a big red flag for you for this budget, but also going forward. Every time somebody comes with a pilot, remember what our auditor said. We just can't control whether they pay it or not.
1 minute warning.
We just can't do it. So that's a good reason to not give a pilot and to be skeptical of the numbers that they give you when they come up here asking for one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody to my left? Anybody to my right?
Good evening, Council. Alan Levy, 254 Oak Street. I always find it interesting where after the public speak portion happens is when the council gets to get their last word in and ask, Mr. Levy, why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? Mr. Brooks, you asserted just 2 weeks ago that there have been racist posts on Rahway Community Voice, a group that you're trying so hard to get back on. And I laughed at that. And the reason I laughed, you implied that I must be a racist for laughing at that. In reality, I laughed at that is because you're going to assert there's racism on Rahway Community Voice. I wonder who, oh right, the chairman of your campaign committee is the person who kicked my wife and I off that list and is still the administrator of that list. Why have you addressed this concern about racism on Rahway Community Voice with the chairman of your campaign committee? Probably not. But that's why I laughed at the brazen hypocrisy of what you are talking about. And Mr. Mayor, you admonished me during your opportunity to speak when you said you should have contacted Adele Quinn and addressed this privately with her Jew-hating comments. Well, first of all, I did. Of course, ignored. But let me ask you, Mayor, did you? No, of course not. Did you reach out to a person who owns a business on Cherry Street? Business, supposedly, even though her front door is just filled with fire violations and everything else. But did you maybe reach out and say, hey, why are you spreading Holocaust denialism? This hurts every Jewish member of our community. It hurts every World War II veteran. Have you done that? No, of course not. But you were sure to attack and vilify the Jew who dared to stand up to it, who dared to say, no, this is wrong. Why are you doing this? But I did it wrong. I did it inappropriately. And what I've learned, and what the Jewish people have learned throughout millennia, is the way we fight back will always be wrong. It will always be inappropriate. It will always be the wrong way of doing it. Now, I'm not saying there's people here are anti-Semitic. What I am saying here is there is a double standard. A double standard of, well, we don't hate Jews as long as they're quiet, as long as they don't fight back in a way that embarrasses us. And that's very clear what happened here. So, here we have today that you also accused me of defaming your character, not just mere criticism, which I find interesting because I'm being sued, and my wife are being sued, by the same law firm that supposedly represents the city for criticism of the mayor, criticism of the city council. The absolute disgrace that this is, the disrespect to the First Amendment, and I'm not saying that. The New Jersey ACLU has taken a stance against that position. And you're going to say, well, I didn't do it. I have no control over it. But you know what you can do? You could say, I disagree. You could say, I don't want my citizens for being sued for mere criticism. You haven't said that, and you never will. All you have to do is take a stand for the First Amendment and do that. And now we have the budget. I like how Andy mentioned Meridia, the same entity that is getting paid $2.25 million for 277 Hamilton
1 minute
when
warning.
they paid $475,000 2.5 years before. That's a 372% increase in a property in less than 3 years. That should raise a red flag. Andy, you're wasting your time. They see the red flags or they don't care. The fact is, those pilots, they get a program, those developers get a program because they've paid off. They've purchased their pay to play. And that's exactly how things operate. Finally, you have all this money to pay $250,000 to Frank and $250,000 for our police chief and our fire chief. Meanwhile, in Elizabeth, they get $175,000. What about the DPW? When are they going to get their pay raise? Darlene, when are you going to say something about that? I won't hold my breath.
5 minutes.
Thank you.
Anybody to my left?
Good evening, Council. My name is Lauren Fernandez from 98 Colonia Boulevard. I've been here several times as well, and for the same reason I've always come here, because we've, for multiple years, have requested the Rahway Tree Committee to be allowed to be formed in Rahway, and for some reason I don't understand why it's not allowed, why it's ignored. We've had petitions signed even by the mayor. He said it was a great idea during one of the Rahway activities that they had, and still nothing. We had a city tree investigation done over 2 years ago, and I don't know what's the big deal about opening a Rahway Tree Committee in Rahway. Like, what's the problem? I'd like an answer, because I also submitted this question during when you guys were trying to get elected for council for Rahway, but for some reason my question wasn't put up as part of the questions. So I'd like to know what's the status of this. You know, I know you've had time to, when the pandemic started, I mentioned this before as well, to change the zonings so we could have a dispensary right there on St. George's Avenue. There was time for that. There was all the cat complaints, and there was time to change ordinances for the cats. But I don't understand. Rahway is a tree city, but you guys don't take care of the trees properly. We're trying to create a committee of people who actually love trees, who love the environment, who care, who see what's happening with the climate crisis and know how important it is to have trees that clean our air, that with all the flooding that Rahway has. I live in the house that the mayor used to own, the one that the pool is named after. I always forget his name, but actually his children came to visit me, and they brought me pictures of when they had planted all the trees. They actually came over to my house and left me all these pictures and showed me when all these trees had been planted by the mayor. And they said that the reason for that was because of all the flooding we have in Rahway. Of course, they didn't think it out correctly, because I understand a lot of the trees are too big, you know, after 80 years, and they drop branches and they become dangerous. But with the tree committee, we can evaluate what type of trees certain streets need. For example, Tehama Street, right in front of my house, when I moved here, it had 24 trees. It's down to 7 trees, and not one has been replaced. And I've been sending emails for years. I sent emails to Councilwoman for our 3rd Ward. She's no longer a council, Benny Parson. And I finally, after 2 years, got 1 tree on my side, because I had to knock down a tree when I moved here that was dying. But I wanted it replaced, so they did. So can you let me know why the Rahway Tree Committee has not been allowed to be created? I'm not sure. Any answers from anyone here? Okay. So then that's all I have to talk about. But please prioritize the trees of Rahway. I don't understand. I don't understand, really. Like, what's the big deal? What are you afraid of? That we're going to take over the city and just, I'm not sure. What's the big deal about it? You approve everything else. You approve all these big buildings for all these people that make all these buildings that don't pay taxes for the school. You approve dispensaries. We used to have a nice diner. It wasn't put up for sale because there was never a for sale sign. It wasn't really put up for sale. You guys just changed the ordinances and decided that that was going to be a dispensary. So all these things take priority. Let's take priority about the trees of Rahway. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone to my right?
Good evening. Lisa Vandiver, 254 Oak Street. The last meeting, my main comment was I'd love to hear from all the council members, what their thoughts were on the budget, any questions they asked, just a little more communication from you all. Beyond that, I'm going to forego comments on the budget tonight. It came kind of clear last meeting, that the council's going to vote, how it's decided it's going to vote, and I'm not sure how much I say will affect that. I do, however, want to apologize for my outburst at the end of the meeting. It was inappropriate. It came from a great deal of frustration, but that does not excuse it, and I'm sorry. I was frustrated once again by not feeling heard, by watching the council president repeatedly and deliberately address a constituent by the wrong name, and by watching Mayor Giacobbe roll his eyes and scroll through his phone and iPad while Alan described the anti-Semitic attack he experienced at Rahway's World Cup celebration, followed by the council president's attempt to diminish what had happened. And he's still scrolling through his iPad. I'm sorry? Wow. Okay. Okay, so there is also a political context to the way Alan and I are treated here, and I think that should be stated plainly. Yes, we frequently come before this council as critics. We do that because we care about Rahway, and as guests here, we're speaking about our concerns. And yes, we are sometimes elective political adversaries, not because we want power for its own sake, but because we are often frustrated by the way the city is being run and are trying to do something about it. As you're all aware, no doubt, Mayor Giacobbe is seeking re-election in November. This year, however, he's facing political challengers. That usually doesn't happen in the general. On one side, he's being challenged by Republican Casey Grenier, who's running for mayor on the same ticket as Allen. And he is also being challenged by independent candidate Hope Moran, whom Allen, as a lawyer, represented when the Rahway Democratic Organization tried to force her off the ballot. So that's already 2 strikes against Allen. He's also running for council at large against 3 incumbents, Joanna Miles, Jeremy Mojica, and Council President Jeff Brooks. There are 3 seats at stake, but only 3 votes allowed. In this simple equation, a vote for Allen could mean one of them loses a seat and make for one less member of Team Giacobbe. Residents should keep that political context in mind when they hear his concerns dismissed or his conduct characterized by the mayor and members of this council. They should also keep it in mind when Mayor Giacobbe lectures others about behavior expected of someone seeking public office. After a council meeting earlier this year, Councilman Mojica became involved in a confrontation with a resident outside City Hall and threatened a fistfight. He had to be held back by several of his colleagues. Whatever was said to evoke that reaction, an elected official should not need to be physically restrained from a constituent. Yet to my knowledge, Mayor Giacobbe has never publicly condemned that behavior, nor has Councilman Mojica ever apologized for it. I could be wrong on that. I'm apologizing for my conduct tonight. I would simply like to see the same standards of behavior and accountability applied to everyone, including members of Team Giacobbe. Thank you for your attention.
Anybody else to my left? Anybody to my right? Seeing none, I need a motion and a second to close the public hearing portion of this meeting.
So moved.
Newberry?
Second.
Eastman? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Eastman? Jablitsko?
Yes.
Miles is absent. Mojica?
Yes.
Montes Dioco is absent. Newberry?
Yes.
Timmons?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes. Ms. Welsh, could you please read the title for Resolution AR-190-26?
AR 190-26, a resolution to amend the 2026 municipal budget pursuant to NJSA 48:4-9.
Thank you, Ms. Welsh. May I have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution AR-190-26?
So moved.
Newberry?
Second.
Jablisco? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Eastman? Jablitsko?
Yes.
Miles is absent. Mojica?
Yes.
Montes Dioco absent. Newberry?
Yes.
Timmons?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes. Ms. Welsh, can you please read the title for Resolution AR-191-26?
AR 191-26, a resolution adopting the 2026 municipal budget as amended.
May I have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution AR-191-26?
I'd like to make the motion to adopt AR-191-26.
Council Vice President Mojica? Councilman Dave Brown? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Eastman? Jablitsko?
Yes.
Miles is absent. Mojica?
Yes.
Montes Dioca absent. Newberry?
Yes.
Timmons?
Yes.
Brooks?
Very good. At this point, I'm going to ask for a motion and a second to adjourn tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Newberry?
Second.
Timmons? All in favor?
Aye.